No, I was just getting very happy.
Yeah, my sister was doing
Pardon? All right, let's start. Afternoon, all. Welcome to the Cabinet on the 18th of March on a glorious sunny day for once, which is always pleasing to see. Let's get on with the Cabinet. Agenda item 1, apologies. We've got apologies from Councillor Von Forsey and we've got apologies from Councillor Emma Stal-Corton. Any other apologies? None recorded, so duly noted. Item 2, declarations of interest. No one's raised any, but as usual, colleagues, if you feel when we come across an item that you should have declared interest, please do it there and then. Item 3, minutes from the February Cabinet. Can I have a mover?
Happy to move.
Councillor Davis, Councillor Lacey. Okay, item agenda 4, section 33 agreement. Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you. So yeah, section 33 agreement. So the purpose of this report is to outline the proposal for the local authority to serve notice to exit the section 33 agreement. Since its establishment in 2011, the Waith partnership has operated under a section 33 agreement, which has facilitated the Nine Bevan University Health Board and Waith local authorities to pool health and social care budgets to support the delivery of integrated services for individuals with disability. Recent challenges in setting annual budgets, alongside a growing recognition that there are disparities in resource allocation, service delivery and performance and funding, have prompted concerns regarding the equity of the partnership contributions and the delivery of service across all different local authorities. The local authority strongly felt that Section 33 agreement has fulfilled its original purpose of loan repayment and suggests a move towards more local arrangements which would enable more flexibility to provide more community-based services. 12-month notice is to be given to exit Section 33 agreement, and once this has been done, a dedicated task force and finish group will be set up to manage the transition over the next 12 months and take action to mitigate against any risks that may emerge. Withdrawal from the Section 33 agreement will result in full responsibility for the 22.17 million budget being transferred to NCC. This provides opportunity for improved local decision making, clearer accountability and alignment with Newport City Council's strategic and budgetary priorities. So I ask the Cabinet to support the exit from Section 33.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. Any questions or observations from colleagues? No, none from me either. Okay, can I have a proposal second? Councillor Clark, Councillor Dan, and that's moved. Thank you so much, Councillor Lacey. Agenda item 5, adoption of the playing pitch strategy 26 to 2036. Councillor Spencer.
I'll try and be as quick. Newport City Council's playing pitch strategy sets out a long-term, evidence-based plan for improving the county's outdoor sports facilities, built on detailed assessments and extensive consultation with clubs, residents, governing bodies, schools and Newport Live. The strategy provides a clear framework to meet rising demands, modernise facilities, support community clubs, secure sustainable investment over the next decade. Why is the strategy needed? The growing pressure on pitches due to increased participation, aging facilities and inconsistent pitch quality. Strong public demand for better drainage, improved training facilities, increased availability and modernised booking systems. Need for a coordinated approach to secure funding and avoid piecemeal investment. What the strategy will deliver: improve grass pitch quality through consistent maintenance and regular condition surveys. Develop a strategic 3G, 2G hubs in partnership with schools and clubs, including modern pavilion and fair access management. Great support for community clubs, including clearer pathway for long-term leases or community asset transfers. More inclusive and accessible facilities, especially for women and girls and underrepresented groups. Key findings: high public demands for improved grass quality, more AGP availability, and better toilets, lighting and storage. Support for shared sports hubs and wider community use of school facilities. Broad support for long-term lease arrangements and help clubs secure external funding. Financial and legal context. Funding expected from club council budgets, Sports Wales, national governing bodies and Section 106 contributions. Long-term leases to help clubs attract capital investment while reducing council maintenance liabilities. The overall outcome: coordinated, future-proof plans that strengthens local sports infrastructure, enhances a community access, boosts club development, club development, and positions Newport to attract significant external investments in the future. There's a lot of work to be done. This is a 10-year plan. I think a lot needs to be done in the first year so we can start putting things together to get this plan going.
Thank you, Councillor Spencer. Any colleagues, any questions?
Thank you. I just want to thank Councillor Spencer, who's put a lot of effort into this plan. It's something that the city really has needed, and I think a lot of people won't realise the significance of this plan for many years. I think it's putting the foundations in place now, so it strengthens the city sport offer. And I think, talked to many groups with Councillor Spencer, I think the grassroots sports clubs in the city will really welcome it. So I think it's a really beneficial policy, and I'm really pleased to see the access areas, access to the clubs, the commitment to improving those, and also the focus on women's sports as well, which is really growing in many sectors. So it's great.
Thank you, Councillor.
Can I just come back to
Of course you can.
I think it's fair to say this is a playing pitch strategy. This is just a small part, I suppose a big part of sport within Newport. There's a lot more than sports pitches need to be looked at. And I'm working with Sam Carrot, who's making contact with all different types of sports. So we have to remember, it's not just, I say, the big three sports we need to look at. We need to look further afield of this as well.
Quite right. Councillor Davis.
Thank you. I really believe this helps to address some of our key objectives in our strategic plan going forward. Very specifically, access to sport really strengthens mental health and well-being. It develops social skills, it develops resilience, it develops confidence, it develops team building. And all those are fundamentally key to making a difference in our children's lives. It enables aspirational opportunities, which we otherwise can't give them. So many of our children, if parents can afford it, they take them outside the city to access sports, and other children with our more deprived areas just miss out. This pitch strategy will enable all our children to access opportunity and develop learning, and that will improve access to jobs and work skills and so forth. It's a really, really brilliant start to developing our future sports strategy, and I welcome it.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Well said. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I think sort of the history of Newport sports have been a pivotal part. I think sort of this is, and I think sort of Councillor Spencer sort of touched on it. This is part of the jigsaw for sports in Newport. You know, it's not the final complete picture, but this is part of the jigsaw to move things forward, and I think it's going to be a crucial part. I thought what's really important, I think Councillor Hughes touched on it, is how, and as Councillor Spencer mentioned it as well, is that how this is also for all communities, where we're making historically, in the world we're in, it was quite a sort of a narrow community, but it's for all communities. I think that's really, really important, because that's what we're about, that's what Newport's about. It's sort of, you know, and I know probably all between us, we've visited all different communities within the sporting world, and I think they'll be over the moon to see things moving forward. So I appreciate, and I think Mark touched on it, his team, and also Councillor Spencer behind us.
Councillor Dan, thank you, Councillor.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I just wanted to echo Councillor Spencer's view on not just focusing on the mainstream sports, because there's always an emphasis on, you know, the footballs, the rugby's, etc. But then, as Councillor Park said, we have to look at a wider scope and look at communities that play, you know, paddle, for instance. Not many people know that. It's a very popular sport. And, you know, the tennises, etc. We've got to look at. We had conversations around baseball and, you know, rounders, didn't we? Basically, not long ago. So, I mean, looking at a wide range of sports, but also working with partners and not focusing on just council resources. We always fall back to public resources at a local level where we can, you know, build that, you know, sort of financial resilience in teaming up with partners and delivering, you know, facilities that serve our communities on a broader range. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dan.
Yeah.
Councillor Lacey.
Yeah, just following on and something similar to what Councillor Dan just said about you know, partners working, because I think a lot of the people that go and look at our rugby and our footballs, for example, because they're the main ones, you know, they're run by volunteers in the city and parents or, you know, friends who give up their time to coach these teams and administer these teams. And so it's really right that we now put our effort into, as you said, this strategy that future-proofs this. Because, as Councillor Davis said, you know, this is how we get our children healthy, we safeguard them, we see what they're doing, they're coming out on a Saturday, they're playing, they're not in front of screens, it reduces poverty. You know, there's so many tranches of where getting the sport out into the community goes. You know, that prevention for us is you know, we always talk about that sort of work, prevention, and having a really good weighted community sports strategy is I think a start of that for everyone to really support this going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Lacey. And yeah, I think I really welcome this pitch strategy. I know all of us are passionate about this. I completely agree about the wide variety of sports that have to be covered. You know, and you know, you hear me ad nauseum talk about the fastest growing city, you know, our under 16s. The demand is huge. You know, all of us know this in our wards. Me and Councillor Spencer, Startsman sports clubs, they're full and they have waiting lists. And I know the chief executive met with the athletics club and said exactly the same thing. And they mentioned, and you know, this is the key point for me, another key point. They mentioned an exceptionally talented young lady who has a chance of making it. And does she have the right facilities to make it? And it's incumbent on all of us in this cabinet and all officers and every resident to make sure these children have a chance to make it. And this is the first, completely with Councillor Clark, the first pillar in building that network of sport facilities, and particularly female appropriate changing rooms. It's not acceptable in 2026 that we do not have appropriate facilities for young women particularly. So I welcome this, and I welcome pooling and collaborating all our resources into delivering this strategy. Can I have a proposal and a seconder, please? Councillor Davis and Councillor Clark. Thank you. Agenda item 6, Local Growth Fund. Councillor James Clark, please.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, really pleased to be able to present this today. The Local Growth Fund, or the LGF as it will be known in the next few years, is a 3-year successor programme to the Shared Prosperity Fund, the SPF, which has been in place since 2022. This new funding sits alongside the Pride in Place funding, which remind the Pride in Place, remind Cabinet, the Pride in Place neighbourhood was approved at the last Cabinet meeting. Local Growth Fund comes into effect on the 1st of April 2026, so just a few weeks away, and focuses on boosting productivity and tackling economic inequality, specifically supporting businesses, infrastructure, and enhancing skills and employment opportunities for our residents. The Welsh allocation over the 3-year period for the funding is 547 million. With the South East Wales region receiving an allocation of just under 80 million for the next financial year. Newport is set to receive just over 8.2 million for 26-27, with a minimum of 5.90% on capital projects and just over 2.5% on revenue projects. In terms of administration, Rhondda Cynon County Borough Council will continue to operate as the accountable body for the region until responsibility passes to the Corporate Joint Committee, CJC, from year 2. As we've done previously for SPF funding, we have to develop a local investment plan which sets out the council's priorities for this funding. So you'll see in the appendix 1 of the report contains the council's proposed investment plan and has been driven by the need to ensure the projects are deliverable within 12 months, focused on continuing some of the excellent schemes and work that we've been delivering through the Shared Prosperity Fund, which have delivered some good outcomes and outputs, and align with the priorities and objectives set within our corporate plan. Through the projects and programmes outlined in the local investment plan, I am pleased to highlight a couple, including continuing support of our local businesses through advice, and will also be funding installing low carbon infrastructure. We have seen enormous benefits from the new events we have held in the city centre, and I must mention Councillor Corton on that, including the Newport City Music Trail, the Comedy Festival, as well as events delivered by partners such as BID. Therefore, in recognition of the importance of increased footfall to the city centre businesses and the overall positivity created by an impressive programme of the events for both residents and visitors, the local investment plan makes an allowance of just over 700,000 for delivery of a programme of events by the council and external partners for 26-27. Funding is also allocated to enable us to deliver some of the priority projects identified through the placemaking plan, which I'm sure we're all aware of. More funding to continue with the provision of warm spaces across our communities to support some of our most vulnerable residents, and additional funding to support our local community and voluntary groups in the delivery of a variety of wellbeing activities which use ways to get more people active, engaged and feeling part of their community. As mentioned, funding amounts is currently indicative, but expecting confirmation of final amounts very soon. Should there be any adjustments in the figures reported, the investment plan will be flexed to ensure all figures match. All reporting, administration, monitoring of the programme will continue in the same way as we delivered the SPF funding, which is through the Office of Board made up of representatives from across a number of services. Recommendations of the board are confirmed following consultation with myself and also the leader. Conclusion and recommendations. The allocation of funding is incredibly positive for the city. It will enable us to continue to deliver important projects and programmes, as well as support our partners and communities with delivering some of their priorities. Clearly, we can decline to accept this funding and say we don't want it, clearly. But that would be turning our back on approximately £8 million of grant funding, which we can use to make a difference to our physical spaces, our business and our communities. So I therefore propose we accept this funding, endorse the recommendations in this report, including the proposed allocations of local investment plan contained within Appendix 1, and ask our officers to press on with mobilising this new funding award, ensuring that we fully deliver the benefits and grant funding over the next 12 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Any questions, observations, thoughts? Councillor Davis.
I thank you very much and really grateful for your presentation. I really look forward to the authority having hands full of cash, because I think it's going to make an incredible difference. What I particularly welcome, though, within this report is the intention of supporting people to work and increasing skills. And I think this is particularly relevant given our increasing, as leader persistently alludes to, because it's important, our increasing young population. We absolutely have to have access to works and skills and jobs, and there's training opportunities, because we cannot have those young people becoming our future needs. This is our opportunity to ensure that they have access to those highly skilled paid jobs that we know are within our local authority, and we need to make those links. I welcome that this enables us to take the opportunity. I think it's really good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other colleagues? Can I just thank Councillor Clark for his leadership in this area? It was SPF, now it's Local Growth Fund. Regardless of its name, you know, it's a lot of work. It's not just handing out money, it's making sure it has the most impact in the city. Councillor Clark has led with exemption.
I'll take it.
Whatever the right word is, that's departed my mind. On this, because the community, you can't just dole it out. But Councillor Clark goes out to those groups, speaks to those groups, builds a relationship with those groups, and that's time and energy. And I think it's warmly received across the city and by different groups that serve different areas and parts of our population. So thank you, and also to the team administering that, doing it all behind the scenes. It always comes to us with figures and proposals, but we know there's a huge amount of work in that, so thank you to the team as well in that regard. Colleagues, I presume we're going to accept the money. Can I propose a seconder, please? Councillor Lacey and Councillor Spencer. Okay, agenda item 7, acquisition of 166, 168 Commercial Street. Councillor James Clark, please.
Thank you, Leader. Again, very positive presentation here. So, look, in the city centre placemaking plan, which was approved by Cabinet in July 2025, and set out a series of interventions to stimulate ongoing regeneration in the city centre over the next 15 years. Vacancy levels in the city centre have reduced over recent years, but it's acknowledged that there are an oversupply of commercial premises compared to the modern retail and leisure requirements, which I sort of add is probably like every town or city in the UK. So opportunity came to acquire the freehold of 166 to 168 Commercial Street, a 3-storey mid-terrace property which is in poor condition and has been completely vacant since the closure of W.H. Smith's store in April 2025. And again, I'd announced that W.H. Smith shut all their high street stores at that period. Properties require extensive refurbishment to bring them back into use and do not meet our net zero requirements. So the outline capital cost for acquisition is £455,750 plus VAT, with funding for this sum provided through the Shared Prosperity Fund. Intention to complete the acquisition by the end of March. Following acquisition, intention to undertake an options appraisal for Cabinet to agree the future use of site, including potential demolition to facilitate alternative uses. Until further use is agreed, holding cost of approximately £30,000 has been identified, excluding non-domestic rates, liabilities and options appraisal costs. These revenues costs will be funded by the Economic Development Reserve. Overall, the benefit of the proposed acquisition are the proactivity addressing issues of long-term vacant commercial properties in the city centre, delivering the commitments of the placemaking plan. I must stress, regarding the placemaking plan, it was not our plan. The placemaking plan was from residents, it was from businesses. We've done a lot of background work on it. We had a cross-party group on it. And I would say sort of Commercial Street is in the placemaking plan. It's one of the ideas. On the cross-party group, this was positively talked about. And the residents put this together. So I must stress that this isn't us coming up with this. This is listening to the residents and the businesses of Newport, and complementing the investment already made by the council and partners into the public realm of and wider regeneration of the city centre. So, grant funding is available to support with the acquisition of these poor quality properties, but funding is time limited. If we miss this opportunity to acquire the freehold to these buildings, likely they will remain empty and in need of significant investment to bring back into use. Given funding's timescales, I therefore ask the Cabinet agree to proceed with the purchase of the freehold of 166, 168 Commercial Street, noting the holding cost of the requirement of the Head of Regeneration Economic Development to undertake an options appraisal in respect of potential uses for the site for consideration by the Cabinet at a meeting in the near future.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Colleagues, Councillor Adran.
Thank you, Leader. I just want to applaud Councillor Clark for taking that bold step, and alongside yourself, Leader, in steering this regeneration piece. I'm all for both steps. there's always risk, but with risk is, I think, opportunity, and I see opportunity in this, and stimulating growth in the city centre. I'm hoping that this will be first amongst many, hoping that funds allow us to purchase other freeholds in the future within the city centre.
Thank you, Councillor Dan. Any other colleague?
Can I come back? Sorry,
Of course you can.
That's a really fair point. I think sort of, when this does go out in social media, etc., there'll be a case of, I imagine that there's some people out there, the negativity anonymous out there, who have said, it's terrible we've got empty properties in the city centre, and now come back and say, why are we knocking down property in the city centre? So we expect that. Well, I would also say the funding of this came from a shared prosperity fund. It could come from any other pots within the city centre. Could come from pothole pots or other pots. It couldn't come from there. The only other option we had was to send the money back, and we're damned if we were going to do that. And I think Councillor Dan makes a huge point. This is something myself and the leader have sat down and talked about, sat with officers, etc. So we could prod on with what we've got, or we have a vision of the future and change Newport. And what will happen there is, as I said, if you get it, you understand it, the residents have asked for this, the businesses have asked for this, and you have to be bold. And that's what we're doing here, and come with us on it. Don't listen to the negativity. And as I said, this is part of, and I'll use what I said to Councillor Spencer, part of a jigsaw that we're putting together, which will progress throughout the year. Sorry.
No, absolutely right, Councillor Clark. Oh, Councillor Lacey, please.
To echo on that, I think this is, you agree with, what will we see on social, what will we see in the Argos, but I think this showed innovation in how we spend our money, how we spent the SPF funding, if obviously we agree to this, because we know acutely that we're not going to fill these units with shops. The demographic of city centre, it's changed. We're not going to get there. To take a bold step, brave step, and maybe, as you said, knock it down. What will go there, we'll yet to see after the feasibility is done. But I think this is innovation with funds in what we're doing, because we can't keep doing the same and trying to find things to go in that unit that might not only last there for 6 months, or we're back around that wheel again. So this is just a brave step, and I think one that I certainly support.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Lacey, and thank you all for your comments. This is a cabinet, and certainly as I came as leader, we're not going to shirk big decisions, and we're not going to be terrified by the naysayers. This city needs bold, as Councillor Dan says, decisions, brave decisions, yeah, even risky decisions. But I would argue quite strongly it's a bigger risk doing nothing. Many people think that Newport Council already own all the high streets, and we've let it go to wreck and ruin. Apparently, we're personally responsible for Woolworths closing and Dublin's going bust, and etc. Which is obviously all complete nonsense. But what we're willing to face, which some people will not face, is that the world has shifted markedly. Where Newport had a brilliant history around retail and a big retail offer, and many people going down there, the world has just shifted. It's no one's fault, it's just how the world ticks. So as a council, what do? We sit on our hands, say it's all too scary, or we take active steps to change the city centre and change the city? And I know I picked the latter, I know this cabinet do as well.
Absolutely.
Any other comments, observations, thoughts?
Can I just sort of add that?
Absolutely.
I think sort of just adding on what you said there, Leader, I think it's really important. I think so, don't think that we're also not having conversations, talking to retailers. Yeah. That's happening. I know the leader is, I know I am, and I know officers are. So that is happening. So we're still trying to achieve goals here. But as I said, we have to make, so those conversations are still happening. We're still trying to move the high street forward. It's getting the right balance. But as the leader said, we have to be bold. If not, we're stagnant, and that's what we're in these positions for. Because if we're not, no one else will be.
Absolutely, Councillor Davis. You're all jumping in now.
I mean, this is an absolute opportunity to start redesigning our city centre. We've got to grasp it and do it. This is the first step of many, many bold announcements in the town, because this is what our residents want. Our residents tell us they want somewhere to be proud of. Let's as a cabinet, as a council, do that. Let's create a city that the city centre residents are proud of. They want to visit. They see it as a destination point. and this is the start of an opportunity. It genuinely is, and I feel proud today to start us on that journey.
Well said, Councillor Davis. Any other comments? No? Brilliant. Can I have a proposer and a seconder, please, Councillor Lacey and Councillor Davis? Okay, thank you all. Agenda item 8, the work programme. Colleagues, can we move to accept the work programme on pages outlined by Councillor Clark and Councillor Davis? Move on to agenda item 9, part 2, exemption of the public and press. The next item, this includes a discussion of exempt information as defined in Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972. The monitoring officer has advised that it would be appropriate for the committee to resolve to exclude the public from the meeting for the duration of this item of business in accordance with section 100I and the paragraph 18 of part 4 of the Local Government Act. You wrote that, is there anything you wish to add?
Yeah, thanks, Leader. So it's a resolution to exclude the public and press from items of business 11 and 12 on the agenda. So Lee, you just need to seek a proposer and a seconder.
Can I have a proposer and a seconder, Councillor Clark and Councillor Hughes?